John David Washington, football was the escape. His true love, acting. And he fell in love with the craft when he was 5 years old. Back then, he watched his father pace as he ran through lines from Richard III for a Shakespeare in the Park performance. John David Washington was smitten. But football won out, mostly because the sport was a move away from his famous lineage. His parents are Denzel and Pauletta Washington. When he finally made the switch to focus on what he really loved, he slid in under the radar as he brought fictional NFL star Ricky Jarrett to life in HBO's Ballers. After a star-making turn in Spike Lee's BlacKkKlansman, he's now starring in Christopher Nolan's Tenet. And he's still dreaming of doing Shakespeare. We chat. The last time we talked, we were really discussing your transition from professional football athlete into the world of Hollywood. It was right before BlacKkKlansman came out. Now that you are firmly rooted in Hollywood, how does it feel now?
Definitely feel like I made the right choice. Getting picked by Christopher Nolan, him believing in me, reaffirms that decision to do this, and really, it brings me so much joy that I was able to be.
What's been your most affirming moment in Hollywood as you navigate this career?
It's been, there's some definitely some bookmark moments. Spike Lee trusted me, really, even almost when the movie came out, like how much he cared and appreciates what I've done. And Christopher Nolan, I mean, getting a call from him alone, not even knowing if I was going to work with him yet, was a
Yeah.
great moment. And then, obviously, from getting the job to when we wrapped, and his support of me, like literally put me on one of his posters. I mean, he really believed in me. So, yeah, I think I just got to keep working hard. I think I'm on the right track.
Yeah, I think that you're on the right track too. I know that you first told me that you really decided that you wanted to be an actor way back in 1990. That's when it really started to crystallize for you. Back then, what was your wildest dream when you thought about what a career in Hollywood might look like for you?
If I were gonna do it, which I really wanted to, it'd be like my father. I wanted to be like my dad, and or Robert De Niro.
You told me that working on BlacKkKlansman was really like a masterclass in acting. What did you learn on that set that you've applied to Tenet?
Yeah. That's a good question. It was interesting. The process was different on Tenet than it was for Spike Lee's movie. But that being said, what I applied from Spike Lee's set were confidence, or the ability to be malleable in the process of understanding the character, not being set on one way of doing it, of one way of entropy into a character, one way of comprehension.
And I know that the Christopher Nolan of it all is sign me up immediately. But other than that, what was it about this project that made it a firm yes for you?
Once in a lifetime, truly enjoyable experience. I've never read a character like this, a world like this. It's funny, like it's been sold as a spy, globe-trotting spy thriller, espionage thriller, action-packed, a high-octane movie. But at the core of it, I think it's something. It is those things, but I think there's something deep about it. There's something, spiritual transformative about it that I really connected to. Seeing the humanity in this character and bringing that to life was very attractive to me. An opportunity. I mean, the guy's name, my character's name is protagonist.
Right.
So the fact that we don't really learn his name, we don't know much about his background, gives me great room to play. I mean, there's fertile ground there to build on, to grow on.
Yeah, your selection process is kind of fantastic. You're really enabling everyone to see the wide range that you have as an actor. We saw you as this kind of wild baller in HBO's Ballers, and then we get to see you bring to life this really unknown story, but important story in Black history in BlacKkKlansman. And now we get to see you in this espionage international spy thriller with Tenet. What is your selection process like?
There is great power in storytelling. Um, I mean, there's a heavy amount of prayer that's involved in all those things in the process, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's something about like if I keep fighting, if I'm forcing it, if like I think I can see it, it's probably no good. But when I'm fighting my fears, like I don't know if I could do this, that means oh you should definitely do this.
I think a lot of people will be surprised to hear you talk about experiencing failure, but I guess a lot of that comes from who you were as an athlete because each game is a competition. You don't always win every game. Is that kind of where that thought process comes from?
Absolutely, I
Mm,
think so. And I don't even know if that's healthy. I wouldn't recommend it,
yeah.
but definitely, I've been being told no a lot in both in the football industry and in this industry I'm in now. But those no's, those failures prepared me for this. I got thicker skin because of it. You know, and there's certain lessons, there's certain values that I uphold that I live by because of football. There's an approach to the work that I will always maintain because of football. Number one on the call sheet. It really, I don't look at it. I mean, maybe the way everybody does. I
Mm,
look at it as this is an opportunity every day to be better than I was the next day, like in football, like in sports. At any moment, they can say you're out of here, which was my experience in football.
mm.
So, but I don't fear that. I welcome that as a challenge, challenging myself. I'm really hard on myself because of what I experienced in football. Like nothing's guaranteed.
You once told me that a wise man once told you, if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. And you said that because you really want to do Shakespeare. I can imagine that you're getting a lot of different phone calls right now to be a part of film projects, but where are you with that? Is that still a dream of yours that you want to realize?
It would nothing would be make me happier than to be able to do a full production on or off Broadway or in cinema,
Yeah.
to bring Shakespeare to life. I have, it's something I have to do
And why do you have to do that, John David?
because it'll bring me back to when I was, I guess, 4 or 5 years old, seeing my father, quoting his Shakespeare, his Richard III lines, and then seeing him on stage and that transformation of the guy I thought I knew to the guy that was on that stage with the tights and the mullet. That kind of magic, that magical realism, that how it affected me, how I was so wowed by it. I have to fulfill I have to fulfill that. I got to bring it full circle and do it myself.
Next up on another act is talented singer and actor Janelle Monáe.